everyone, this is Helloangel.design. Today I'm going to show you how you can make this cute baby romper for your kids or loved ones. It's super easy to make, it's not so difficult. I cut a piece of fabric. I will explain the width and the length that you're going to cut. You just join it at the neckline of this romper and top stitch and add your elastic inside and elastic on the leg hole. And this is my snap, iron snap right here. You can also use plastic snap or buttonholes. This is how it finally looks. You can also decide to add the lace to design the ruffle, or you can just fold it inside and top stitch. This is how it will look once you have done making. I will upload the pattern paper on my website if you are interested of making for your kids or loved ones. Please, if I said I will upload the pattern paper on my website, I'm not saying that I'm showing how to make the pattern paper for yourself. I'm saying I have already made the pattern paper. I'm just uploading it on my website so that you can go there and print it out, and then you can make it for yourself. Make sure you watch the tutorial or the video. There you understand how I make this dress right here. So I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to explain right here. I just want to get that on the way because a lot of people do go to my comment section, ask me where is the video. I don't find the video how to make the pattern paper. But I guess a lot of people, some people get a little bit confused about that. So I hope you understand. If my tutorial has been helpful, thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Make a comment below if you have any questions. And let's get started. First thing that you need your bias binding. So this is my bias binding. The width of my bias binding is 1 inch. Make sure you cut a lot of pieces together. You can join it. You can see I've cut a lot of pieces. I'm going to join it together, and I will show you how you can join your bias binding together. And I also have another bias binding right here. I have joined this together. This is 1 1/4 inch. So this 1 1/4 inch width of my bias binding, I'm going to use it to bind the leg hole. While the 1 inch of my bias binding, I'm going to use it to bind the armhole of the romper dress. And I cut a piece of fabric right here. I will tell you the length and the width later. So I'm going to gather it at the neckline of the romper. And this is the front of my romper, and this is the back of my romper. So I want to explain that before we start to put this together. First thing that you have to do, you open your front romper dress, and then you open your back romper dress. This is the back. So what you're going to do, you put them together. You are going to pin the both side seam together. Just go ahead and pin the both side seam of your romper together. Remember, when you're putting your romper together, make sure both fronts are facing each other. So go ahead and pin the both side seam together. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine, stitch the both side seam of the romper together. If you have overlocker, overlock the both side seam raw edges, or you can also use zigzag to overlock the both side seam raw edges. So go ahead and top stitch. When you are stitching your bias binding together, so you put it across like this. You can either pin that in place, so when you're going to stitch, you're going to stitch across like this. Then you take your scissors, you trim it out. So this is how it will look once you have done stitching. I have joined my bias binding together. This is how it is. So what you're going to do, you pick your dress like this, place it at the very top of your dress. You can go ahead and pin it all around. I have pinned the bias binding around the both armhole of my dress. The next thing that I'm going to do, I will take it to my sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down, trim a little bit out from the seam allowance, fold it inside and then fold it again and top stitch. So go ahead and stitch your bias binding around the armhole of your dress. I have stitched the both armhole together. This is how it finally looks right now. This is how it looks. The next thing that you have to do is to use your bias binding to bind the leg hole. So this is my 1¼ inch bias binding. I will just turn my dress like this. Place it at the very end of the leg hole. I'm going to pin it all around. I have pinned it all around. You can see I just place my pin and pin the bias binding all around the leg hole. The next thing that you have to do, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down, and then trim a little bit out from the seam allowance, then fold it and then fold it again and top stitch. So I will show you how you can fold it and then fold it again and top stitch, because this leg hole we are going to attach elastic on this leg hole. That is why I cut 1¼ inch bias binding by weight. So make sure you should do the same. Let's go ahead and put this together. When you're going to top stitch all over, you fold it a little bit inside and then fold it on top of it again like that, because you are going to put elastic inside this hole. And then place your presser foot and go ahead and start stitching. I have top stitch all around. This is how it look right now. This is how it is. The next thing that you have to do, you take your piece of fabric. The length is 6 inch, the width is 14 inch. You put it together, you go ahead and pin it all the way down. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down. Use zigzag to overlock the raw edges, or if you have serger, use serger to overlock the raw edges. Once you have done that, also go ahead and hem the bottom edge of the fabric. Fold it inside and then fold it again and give it a top stitch all around. In the top of the fabric, we are going to attach it on the neckline of this romper that I am making. But the way I'm going to stitch mine, I will first take it to my sewing machine and give it a top stitch all the way down. Take it to my serger, overlock the raw edges. So when I'm going to hem my fabric, what I'm going to do, I will overlock the raw edges of the bottom edge of this fabric and then place my design, or if you have any lace, go ahead and do the same. Place it at the front, top stitch all around and then fold it inside and then give it a top stitch all over again. So go ahead and stitch that in place. I have stitched it together. This is how it is. This is how it is right now. And the center back, I stitch it and I overlock the raw edges. The next thing that you have to do is to put it at the neckline of your dress that you're making. You can see I place a pin right here. This is the mid part of this front dress and the mid part of the back of the dress. I also place a pin right there. So what you're going to do, you also take your fabric, put them together, make sure you also place a pin at the mid part of your fabric. So put them together like this, both mid part together, just pin that in place. And then you come to the other side. This is the back, the center back, put them together, then pin that in place. See the way it is. Once you have done it like this, and then you can then pin it all around. Just pin this all around. I have pinned it all around. This is how it is. The next thing that you have to do, take it to your sewing machine. From where the armhole started, just give it a top stitch all the way to the end here. And you do the same thing on this side. So when you're stitching, make sure you stitch very close to the edge, because we are just going to attach the dress, the romper dress, on the ruffles that we are going to place our elastic in, just to make sure they are together. That is why we are going to stitch it all the way down to this end. And you come to this side and you just stitch it all the way down to this end. So go ahead and stitch that in place. I have given it a top stitch. This is how it is from here to this end. And you come to the other side from here to this end. Once you have done that, take your dress to your sewing machine, fold inside 1 centimeter, and then fold it again 1.5 centimeter. Go ahead and give it a top stitch around the neckline, all around. 1 centimeter first, and then 1.5 centimeter all around. So when you're stitching, remember to leave a gap so that you can put your elastic inside. Leave about 2 centimeter so that you can put your elastic inside, just like this. Let's say you're stitching, you start from this pin and you stitch it all around, and you end on the green pin or any pin color that you're using, so that you know where you start and where you're going to end, so that you don't forget to stitch it all together. So when you're putting your elastic, there is a hole right here where you can put your elastic inside and come down to the other side. So go ahead and stitch that in place, and then we can now put our elastic on the neckline and on the leg hole. I have top stitch all around. This is how it is. This is how it is right now, and this is my gap that I left open where I'm going to put my elastic. I have made this dress before. I haven't uploaded it on my video, so I'm just showing it how to make it on baby romper. I will put the picture on my right so that you can see how I make different colors of this dress that I'm making. But it's not romper, it's just a easy dress that your kids can wear for this summer. So just go ahead and put your elastic all around the neckline of your romper. I have put my elastic all around. This is how it is. You just look at, because this romper that I'm making is for 9 months to 12 months. So make sure you take your child neckline and look at it, and then if you want to adjust the neckline, remove the pin and just go ahead and pull it so that you can always adjust the neckline before stitching it together. Also go ahead and put your elastic on the leg hole. I have finished putting my elastic on the dress. This is how it looks right now. This is how it is. Before you take it to your sewing machine and secure your elastic, the best thing for you to do, pull the both side seam of your dress together. This is the side seam. Put it together like this. You are going to check if the both leg hole are equal like this, and then you come to the other side. Also check if the both leg hole are equal. Once you check it like that, the both leg hole are the same length, take it to your sewing machine. Just give it a top stitch to secure the elastic in place. For the neckline, if you're going to place elastic on the neckline of this dress, what you're going to do, take your measuring tape, measure around your child's shoulder. Any inches that you get, put it around the neckline of your dress, because you want your dress to stay on the shoulder. You don't want the neckline to start falling all the time. If I tell you to measure 12, 13, 15 inch, every child come in different sizes. Some kids are smaller, some kids are a little bit chunky, so I can't really say this is the size you have to measure. The best way is for you just to measure around your child's shoulder and you get the length of the elastic that you want. Once you have done it like that, then put it inside. What you're going to do, put the both elastic together, go ahead and stitch the elastic together, push the elastic inside, and then the open gap, just go ahead and give it a top stitch all around. I have stitched all my elastic in place and also with the neckline, and I stitched the open gap, and you can see that I have also started stitching the clutch together. What you're going to do, the length is 2 inch, the width is 1.5 inch. What you're going to do, place it like this, pin it all together. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. Once you have done stitching, then I will show you how to stitch it all over again. So go ahead and top stitch. I have top stitch. I trim a little bit out from my seam allowance, then fold these raw edges inside, and you do the same thing on this other side, just like this. And you come to this side, also fold the raw edges inside. So what you're going to do, you just place it on top of it like this, pin it all together. Make sure all raw edges are folded inside. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine, give it a straight stitch all the way down, straight stitch, and then across. Make sure all raw edges are folded inside properly. You don't want the raw edges to be showing. So just go ahead, give it a straight stitch down, and then across, straight stitch, and then across. Once you have done that, you can either place a snap at the crotch, or you can also place a buttonhole, depends on you. So go ahead and stitch that in place. Your dress is finally ready. I have stitched the clutch. This is how it is. You just place your button or your snap right there. Your dress is finally ready, and this is how it is. The dress right here, the romper that I make, is for 9 to 12 months. Thank you all so much for watching. If my tutorial has been helpful, thumbs up, make a comment down below, and you all should have a blessed day. Bye.